Well, software and medical devices, as some people were already saying, and as we experience every day, it's really moving and shaking area. It's moving because of the continuous developments that we have. It's shaking because of increased enforcement and also the legislators that keep trying to move the goalposts. So there's a lot to do, all of which we will address here. It's very interactive, so please, if you have any questions, ask them whenever they come up. The program for today, that's in the it's in the booklet. We put all the slides in the booklet. So what we'll do is we'll first have a presentation by Robert Houtenbos. Right over here. Robert is an independent M-Health consultant with a lot of experience and past, you could say, in big M-Health, in the insurance, healthcare insurance industry, for example. And he will speak about compliance by design. Very important, because what we often find is that companies, well, they have an idea, and then they start off, and they go do some stuff, and in the end they arrive at some kind of result, but you never know. It's a bit like almost a Lewis Carroll quote. If you don't know where you're going, you might not end up there. Then we from Axon will talk a bit about medical devices regulation and about the latest enforcement initiatives in the Netherlands. And then we'll have Hans van Dulmen from Dulmen Regulatory Services, a medical technology regulatory consultant that we work with, talk about how you should do this whole process of CE marking for a medical device. So, without further ado, Robert, I'd like to hand over to you. I'm happy you can still stand under the circumstances.
I will explain.
You will explain.
Thank you. Hi everybody, my name is Robert Houtenbos. Thank you for the introduction here. Please raise your hand if you cannot hear me. As Eric says, I am an independent mobile health consultant, or broader speaking, general digital health. And my services range from designing digital strategies to portfolio management, project consultancy, and then really the feet in clay work, the implementation, and I'm also a contractor with a broad network of all kinds of possibilities and everything you need in the process. And post-development services as well, because you have to develop something, how do you put it on the market, and what are the best means to do so. And, that's what I do. I started my mobile health work in the insurance industry at VGZ, one of the largest health insurers in the Netherlands. And in 2009, I was an internet manager, and we sold health insurances, but there was only a few months a year work. So the other half of the year, I could do innovation and innovative and new stuff. And one of them is social media in healthcare and mobile health. Myself, as a consumer, I am also a very savvy M-Health user. For instance, the quantified self movement, the movement where you log everything about your life. This is one of my Nike stats from the month of May. You see, I'm very specialized in not setting my goals too high, so I can reach 21 out of 31 goals, because I want to have success. I also use a broad range of apps. I saw the list of attendees, and I saw some Philips people also. You are nodding. So this is the app I use regularly to check my heart rate and my breathing rate. What Eric was referring to, I'm still standing because I had a little baby girl the other week. And I used mobile health or digital health as a sport in that process too, because my girlfriend was carrying almost 42 weeks, and then you see the difference between healthcare from a consumer perspective and a professional perspective, because they see risk and guidelines, and I see health, and I want to sustain that health. Health is my starting point, and not risk or guidelines. So we all managed to get a good result. Thanks to this is the website of the Association for Gynecologists, and they have published all their guidelines. So I knew what the gynecologist was going to say to the doctor before he actually did, 4, 5, 6 hours later, and I could have already anticipated my next move, because they wanted to do a sectio cesario, I think 3 times, and we managed to. Managed to get natural birth. Yeah, partially. I can relate. Thank you. This is all the drugs they try to inject to my girlfriend. I looked them up. This is a oxytocin product, and well, I was really curious for what are they administering. And this is the end result. Postpartum, it didn't stop, and I noticed I didn't use the traditional channels, the supplied by health brands channels. I used YouTube because our baby didn't latch. It's very nice to the breast. So we looked at what's the most natural way to breastfeed. You do not learn it in the hospital. Always show the traditional way. So this is an alternative way, and it worked very good. And now we still use the quantified self movement, and we use the Smallness app to register lactation, diapers, naps, all that kind. And you can see here that my girlfriend was really was driving her nuts. And this day there was the gloom of a rhythm. But the next day it was all messed up again. So we're in the midst of this too. So that's me, but what does the market do? Well, as my profession suggests, I mainly focus on mobile applications. So I'll give you a brief overview. You can read it afterwards in your sheet, so I won't go by it word by word. What's interesting is that there's supposed to be over $10 million market.
Actually, a microphone for that a rock star experience.
Great.
Thank you, Amsterdam. A $10 million market. This is better. I do not notice it because every mobile health developer I know is struggling to keep his head above the rising water. So this is not only healthcare, of course. Healthcare categories in the iTunes App Store are placed 14 and 17, with, let's say, 5% of all medical apps are health and medicine related. So, oh my God, it's, because, as showed here, every day 818 new app submissions are received by Apple. 5%, that means like 14 new apps are added to the directory every day. So it's quite difficult to keep up as a consumer, as a professional, and also as a legislator. And it reminded me of the Gartner Hype Cycle. I'm sure you've all heard of it. And this is a plot that HIO of Text Exchange made. Text Exchange is a mobile health company who are active in Africa. And they use SMS-based services. And I think they are a few years ahead of us because Africa, there's no infrastructure and mobile health benefits from it because I think the Dutch infrastructure is very solid, but it also hinders us in making big progress in mobile health. And you see, there was huge expectations, of course, in 2010, And then the trough of disillusionment because of focus on regulatory and also evidence-based medicine. And they expect into 2016 to reach the plateau of productivity. I think in the notes we could easily add a few years to that. Sorry. FDA a few years ago, or last year, they said the Wild West of medical apps. And you saw the spasm, everyone was getting into, whoa, what's happening? It's the Wild West, where's the sheriff? And they started to behave like sheriffs, of course. But later more on that. And here in the Netherlands, the Dutch Healthcare Inspectorate, I visited them recently, and they said they had a database consisting of over more than 500,000 records of potential medical devices available on the Dutch market. Because, well, in the case of medical apps, we can also download an Arab app or an Israeli app. As a consumer, I'm already wondering, whoa, is it safe? So,
things are really good.
yeah, I'm very enthusiastic about it, but regulatory, I don't know. The Royal Society of Medical Professionals have conducted a survey, and they said, well, there is a pretty good chance of elevating it in the Netherlands, because almost 80% of doctors already use apps for information, and they're really simple apps like reference guides or dictionaries, stuff like that, or anatomy 3D images. And as you can see, only 6% of doctors stimulate self-monitoring. One of the things that happened to us in the hospital was we were connected to a CTG to monitor the baby heart rate, but everything was fine, you know. I said, well, okay, we're going home. No, you're not going home. Well, we'll have to wait here. Yeah, you have to wait here because insurance says you cannot leave the premises. So I really wanted to do it at home. Why I use it? Because it makes me happy, that's the bottom line. And I think all of you who are designing medical software should have that number one goal, make your customer happy. Like Zappos did, read a book from Zappos, focus on consumer happiness. And it also saves me money, but that's not the most important reason why I use it. So, designing for compliance. I thought, well, what is compliance? So I looked it up. And it said, 1, adherence to laws, regulations and requirements. Okay, that's great. As you have noticed, I'm not a lawyer. So how many of you here have legal backgrounds? Can I see some hands? Oh, not too many. Okay, I think maybe 15% of the audience. Okay. The rest of you are salespeople? Developers? How many of you are in the midst of development? Oh, not even the majority. And I am aware, because I also develop a lot of apps, I am aware of regulations. This is all kinds of laws that we have to deal with in the Netherlands. And of course the real hot CE mark at the moment. But CE is not only for legal people and inspectorates. CE also is a thing that is well, almost a synonym for quality at the moment. And the winner of the Health App of the Year award this year was Moet ik naar de dokter, a triage app from a GP in Apeldoorn. And the jury announced the winner by saying it's the only one that has a CE mark. So it's also a unique selling point, it seems. And it also helps you as a developer to maintain and sustain quality in your processes, but more of that later. And it's a source of pride as well, because this is the Moet ik naar de dokter app, and they have a really big CE sign in it. They take great pride in it.